Two public SWE-bench verified leaderboards track the exact same models, but the rankings flat out disagree because every single score is vendor self-reported. When the mid-table snapshots look this completely different, their marketing's just expensive fan fiction, and some massive household names are about to bomb. So 15 agents get judged on receipts and real workflows instead. GitHub Copilot sets the baseline. It finally has Ask, Edit, and Agent modes, and the now GA coding agent can take an issue and just work it. Features like next edit suggestions are genuine progress, but once it's executing code with your permissions, you desperately need a proper sandbox. Running agents totally uncontained isn't brave, it's just dumb. And if you check the SWE-bench verified leaderboard, the standard for autonomous repo work is brutal, and the true leaders are already way ahead. GitHub Copilot, B tier. Aider is an open-source terminal pair programmer. You bring your own model, point it at a project, and it builds a repo map of your whole code base before it even starts typing. When it finishes a refactor, every edit is git committed with a descriptive message, saving you from staging files by hand. On a third-party 3-tool benchmark, it used 4.2 times fewer tokens than the big autonomous agents on the same tasks. It's a more manual, more human-directed workflow than the new autonomous crowd, meaning you actually have to steer it. Aider, A tier, respect. Replit Agent is basically a prompt to deployed app machine. It handles the whole pipeline, databases included, and design mode takes you from raw idea to live site in about 2 minutes. It's genuinely impressive for prototypes and non-coders, which explains the 500,000 business users. But that's exactly why it loses this specific fight. Drop it into an existing production repo and you're hitting a wall the second you scale past an MVP. Replit Agent, C, wrong fight. Cline's an open source agent built right into VS Code. It ships under an Apache 2.0 license with over 5 million installs and 61,000 stars, basically crowning it the community default. It writes code and runs tests autonomously across your files, hooking directly into the MCP marketplace to grab whatever tools it needs. But it's designed to be supervised, meaning it constantly pauses to ask permission before doing anything risky. That human-in-the-loop friction absolutely keeps you safe, but it holds the workflow one notch back from pure unattended flow. Cline, B. Gemini CLI is Google's terminal agent, and it runs a full React loop with raw file system access right out of the box. It hooks into the model context protocol, meaning you can wire it up to a GitHub action, and suddenly you've got a zero-cost teammate working repo issues on its own. This is literally the engine powering Code Assist's agent mode under the hood. But the catch is that the word free is doing some heavy lifting. Your usage rides on shared Code Assist quota tiers, so the second you hit that invisible ceiling, your new teammate abruptly clocks out. Gemini CLI, B tier. Alibaba's Qwen3 Coder is an open-weight coding mixture of experts model built to scale across exactly whatever hardware you have lying around. The flagship is a 480 billion parameter beast, but only 35 billion are active at once. That is the whole trick. And if you don't own a data center, there's a 30 billion parameter variant that runs entirely locally on about 15 gigabytes of RAM. It means the closed frontier models suddenly have a very real open weight problem. Throw in a 256,000 token context window that stretches toward 1 million, and it casually digests your entire codebase offline. Qwen3 Coder, A tier. GPU's GLM 4.6 is the open-weight alternative trying to run in that same DeepSeek and Qwen class. It bumps the context window to 200,000 tokens, up from 128, and the weights are free on Hugging Face. But there's a problem. Every massive benchmark flex traces straight back to their own launch blog. 0 independent tests back it up. And in this game, self-sourced is a verdict. GLM 4.6, C until someone else says it. DeepSeek V4 just dropped, landing a 1.6 trillion parameter open weight pair with V4 Pro and V4 Flash. It packs a 1 million token context by default, and because you can self-host it, your source code never actually leaves the building. You get to hoard your IP in the basement. But the budget hero narrative gets complicated in the comparisons. Comparative ratings put it dead mid-pack on both output speed and price. DeepSeek, B tier. Kimi K2.6 is Moonshot's open-weight coding model, and it treats your prompt like a general contractor treats a construction site. You ask for a feature, and it spins up an agent swarm, fanning out to roughly 300 specialized sub-agents in parallel. It's fully self-hostable, runs natively inside Kimi Code and Open Code, and Moonshot published the receipts showing it hunting Western frontier models on SWE-bench Pro. It also threw down on Terminal Bench, real command line execution, genuinely hard to fake. But here's the brutal shelf life of an AI tier list. Moonshot has already shipped Kimi K3, a 2.8 trillion parameter behemoth with a million token context that supersedes this exact model. The ranking went stale while we made the video, which is precisely the point about rankings. Kimi K2.6, High A. Amazon Q Developer is AWS's enterprise coding agent. It's an ecosystem play featuring purpose-built specialist agents for dev, test, and review, plus custom agents you configure yourself. And it's genuinely useful if you already live in that walled garden, but their own announcement pages do most of the talking because everything points straight back at AWS. Live on AWS? Add a tier. Everyone else? Amazon Q, C. Windsurf, F. Rest in peace. If you blinked this year, you missed the custody battle. The editor got passed around all year. An OpenAI deal, then Google, then Cognition bought it out. Then a stealth over-the-air update forced the Windsurf brand to exit existence. You woke up, your accounts and key bindings were intact, but the app was suddenly Devon Desktop. The lineage runs Codium, then Windsurf, then Devon. 3 names, 1 editor, 0 warning. And the internal agent, Cascade, gets force-killed July 1st with a mandatory migration. It's a hard cutover that cleanly breaks every custom automation you bothered to build. What replaced it actually has genuinely interesting bones. It's an agent command center, basically a Kanban board where you juggle multiple agents at once. And it supports the agent client protocol, so Codex, Claude, and Gemini agents run straight inside your workspace. It's a real idea, but the trust burn is incredibly fresh. You don't just hijack a developer's workflow overnight and expect them to smile. Devon Desktop, C. Prove it and climb. Source graph. Cody is the AI assistant bolted right onto their enterprise code search platform. It's built for whole codebase understanding across massive monorepos, tracking down your scattered logic like some kind of hyperactive librarian. And that's why shops like 1Password and Coinbase run it in production. They even publish joint research with Google on infinite context for code. But its real edge is described, not benchmarked. Cody, B tier, enterprise asterisk included. Cursor is the assumed king of this board, basically ghosted into the S tier before we even started. Because it's a VS Code fork, your entire workflow carries over instantly, like moving into a new house where someone already unpacked your boxes. Then they gave us Composer. Their own blog notes they trained it with reinforcement learning directly on real engineering tasks, and they claim it generates code 4 times faster than similar models. You throw in Cursor 2.0's Agent UI with a built-in browser and MCP servers, and it's basically a cheat code. But then, the honeymoon ended. Users experienced the metered billing shift as a silent 20 times plus price hike. You kept hitting tab, your statement noticed. The tool is undeniably elite, but that billing shock ruptured the trust. We settle the crown at the very end. OpenAI Codex CLI is terminal native, and it's actually open source on GitHub. It's basically a thin node launcher sitting over a full Rust agent core. You get agents.md configuration, full MCP support, and one user reported access to 11 million tokens a day. A genuinely unhinged allowance. But here's the honest catch. Security researchers have flagged RCE and prompt injection risks, and sandboxing on Windows is rough. Codex CLI, A tier. Claude Code doesn't want to chat with you. You drop it in a repo, point it at a failing test, and watch it read the files, write the patch, and run the suite live in your terminal. It treats AI as scriptable infrastructure, not a glorified text box. You set the mental model with a claude.md file, /commands, and custom skills. But the real unlock is the hooks. These fire deterministic shell commands at lifecycle events, letting you force an auto format or hard block dangerous ops before it blindly nukes your hard drive. Sub-agents run as completely separate workers with their own isolated context, which means teams can build actual deployment pipelines instead of praying one massive prompt holds together. That structural discipline is exactly why it needs fewer guesses to get things right. The proof is sitting right there on the SWE-bench verified leaderboard, where Anthropic's models casually dominate the ranking. And yeah, that board is self-reported by vendors, so side-eye the exact margins. But the underlying reality is undeniable. Claude Code, to the top of the board. S tier. Cursor was sitting pretty up top, but then they quietly dropped a metered billing update, and users woke up to a massive 20x price hike. Cursor, A tier. Final answer.